I feel that I'm an artist first and a spiritual teacher second or third or fifth or something. So imagination has always been at the core of my life. I started writing poetry and drawing and painting as a small child. And because I grew up in a counterculture environment where our school was an alternative school, the whole child was always emphasized, and especially the creativity of children. So I was always encouraged to paint and draw and write and sing and dance and express myself creatively, and all of us together in community. And so it's so integrated with who I am, I can't even separate my imagination from anything that is other than the realm of imagination and creative play. And my creativity and my imagination has also been fueled by deep suffering. Both play, that childlike joyfulness that can't help but express itself through imagination and creative play, and the deep sorrow of the human condition in which I have participated, that also leads to a vast realm of possibilities in creative expression and imagination.
Two things, I'm saying two things at once. Where does imagination come from, and how do you know whose voice you're hearing? So I kind of feel that my poetry or my creativity or whatever I call that stuff comes from a God-jinx combo, with God being the main factor in this creative process. And I don't know what God is, but I do feel that it's a kind of combo. And I would say probably 99% of the time don't know.
Yeah.
Am I hearing the voice of God, or am I hearing Jinx's voice? And about 99% of the time I really don't know. And I know, you know, there's tremendous emphasis, particularly in this conference, on love being the factor which determines whether it's God or not. And I don't know about that either, you see.
I'm a big fan of not knowingness, Jinx.
Yes. Yes, me too. Me too.
And I think in our tradition, that co-creative process with the divine is just part of what we're about. I mean, I think the whole process of tikkun olam and the shattering of the vessels and our task is to bring those pieces back together and restore the vessel to wholeness with God. Together,
yes,
we're restoring wholeness to the cosmos. So I think that's kind of built in, and I don't have a conflict with the fact that I'm supposed to have a participatory role and step up. It strikes me that it takes a lot of imagination to extend myself into all of these other faith traditions that I've embraced. There's certainly a sense of adventure in it, and I think that sense of adventure is linked to imagination, to the creative possibilities that are present in the encounter with all of these different faith traditions that often have their own ethnic and cultural flavors. So that's the linkage I would make with the topic of imagination and the interspiritual quest that I'm on, and that I think a lot of people are on. More and more people, I think, are finding that the faith traditions of their past, maybe that they were born into, in our case Judaism is more than just a faith perspective, it is a cultural identity as well, so it's very strong, a strong feeling of rootedness that I wouldn't dream of abandoning. I rest in that. But that many of us who are drawn to other traditions are longing for the jewels of wisdom that we find deep inside the well of other traditions. Not at the surface. We're not going to actually find them in a superficial dabbling in this religion and that one. What I find is that craving we have for something of substance is only met when we dive deep into the vessel of other faiths. And for me, that means not just an intellectual exploration, although I'm very interested in the scriptures of all the world's religions, and I love the study. So I'm not denying the intellectual juiciness that's present, but for me, it's an immersion, a spiritual immersion that dissolves my sense of separateness. So if I plunge into prayer in the Christian tradition, I'm not just checking it out. I'm not just tolerating it. I am allowing it to undo me.
I've asked my spiritual directors and I ask myself, I think I'm hearing God's voice. I follow what I think to be God's desire for me, I think. Do my best to know, and then I go ahead and follow what I think. And I only know often well after the fact,
yeah,
which the Christian scriptures call, I think, the fruits. That's Matthew, if I'm not mistaken. Am I?
I have that regular experience of stepping aside just a little bit. I mean, Mirabai's still there, but this other, I'm just making room for this other thing to come through. And when I draw and paint, and when I sing, and definitely when I write, I experience that co-creative process with the divine, and I am stepping into my prophetic calling in those moments. And I don't think I know anyone who doesn't experience this.
My spiritual practice mainly is in the morning, when I wake up. So it's because the dreams are close, and I'm close to the unconscious. So I write in the morning, and I do some reflective journaling, and I write my dreams. My dreams are a very important part of listening for the voice of the divine, whatever the divine is. And then I write poetry, okay? So I've just given you the facts. Now I'm going to give you, to the best of my ability, the sensate experience. And the feeling I have is of sort of floating further and further down. And when I get to the poetry, the feeling is, oh, and I'm sort of like, actually, I shouldn't say this on camera, but I'm turned on right now, frankly. It's sort of erotic.
Right.
And I feel it in my body, and it's a feeling of a simultaneous talking and listening.
In the beginning, when I introduced myself, I said I was a Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sufi who loves Christ, and I would add agnostic, if not some days atheist. Because when the great mystery is contained, I get very uncomfortable. The vastness that leaves me in speechless awe doesn't work when it's confined and defined.
It's that place that I believe I live, which is on the line of paradox.
Yes.
I'm passionately in love with I don't know what, and I don't even know if this something exists, and I'm passionately in love with it. And then, you know, the prayers and the workshops and everything, they're saying, you know, just trust, you know, go into the darkness and the everlasting hands will be there. And I feel that's true, and I don't believe that it's true. And that's where I live, and it feels very comfortable for me.
Oh my God, Jinx, we are the same. I've written the very same lines that you're speaking.
Really?
Right now. Yes. I think all mystical traditions begin and end in paradox. Yeah.